You have prayed a prayer that God did not answer. Not yet, not in a different way, never. And here is the part almost nobody tells you. The Bible doesn't leave you guessing about why. It names these prayers out loud, with a verse attached. 7 of them. 7 prayers Scripture says God does not hear, and the exact line that says so. Some of these you have prayed this week. Stay to the end, because the last one is the one most Christians are living in right now. And the very last thing I'll show you is the one prayer God promises He always hears. Number 1. The prayer you pray while refusing to forgive somebody. You know the name. There is a person you have decided is not getting your forgiveness. Maybe they don't deserve it. Maybe they never even apologized. And Jesus makes this one almost uncomfortably simple. Whenever you stand praying, forgive if you have anything against anyone. Notice when He says it. Not before you go to church, not someday, whenever you stand praying. He puts forgiveness inside the act of prayer itself, which means you can say all the right words, in the right posture with real feeling, and be carrying the one thing Jesus said to put down first. And I want to be fair about how hard this is, because people say just forgive like it costs nothing. Sometimes what was done to you was genuinely evil. Forgiving is not saying it was fine. It is not calling them back into your life. It is not pretending the scar isn't there. It's putting down the right to collect. It's deciding you are no longer the one holding their debt. This is not God being petty. It's God refusing to let you receive mercy with one hand while denying it with the other. You cannot ask heaven for a forgiveness you have declared impossible. Number 2. The prayer for something you intend to spend on yourself. Now be careful here, because this one gets twisted. God is not against you having things. The Bible is full of people asking God for very physical, very ordinary help. The problem isn't the request. It's the engine underneath it. You ask and don't receive because you ask with wrong motives so that you may spend it on your pleasures. James says the prayer failed before it left the room. Not because the thing was evil, because the motive was. So here's the honest test, and it takes about 4 seconds. If God gave you this exact thing, who else's life gets better? If the answer is nobody, you're not praying. You're shopping. And watch how narrow the line is. 2 people can pray for the exact same amount of money on the exact same day. One is trying to keep a roof over 3 kids. The other wants to finally be the guy who arrives in the nice car. Same words, same God, completely different prayer. Which is why this one is so easy to miss in yourself. From the outside, it looks identical to faith. Number 3. The prayer that is really a performance. You have heard it. Maybe you have prayed it. The prayer that changes vocabulary the second someone else is listening. Longer words, deeper voice. Suddenly there are Father God's everywhere. They love to stand and pray, that they may be seen by men. Most certainly, I tell you, they have received their reward. And look closely at how Jesus ends that sentence, because it's brutal. They have received their reward. The prayer worked. It got exactly what it was aimed at. People were impressed. It just never went anywhere near God. That's the trap. This prayer isn't unanswered. It's answered by the wrong audience. And Jesus doesn't leave you with the accusation. The very next thing He says is, go into your room, shut the door, and pray to your Father who is in secret. He's not banning public prayer. He's giving you a way to find out which kind yours is. Because a prayer nobody will ever hear about has nothing left to gain except God. So try it once this week. Pray for something you genuinely care about and tell no one you did it. If that feels pointless, you've just learned something about who you were talking to. Number 4. The prayer that thinks length is leverage. Don't use vain repetitions, for they think that they will be heard for their much speaking. There's an idea buried in a lot of us that prayer is a machine you have to feed. More words in, more answer out. Pray it 40 times. Say it the exact right way, or it doesn't count. Jesus says that's how people pray to a God who isn't paying attention. You're not talking to that God. And notice what He does right after this verse. He hands them the Lord's Prayer, which takes about 20 seconds. Your Father isn't waiting to be worn down. He's waiting to be talked to. And let me guard this one because it gets misused. Jesus is not banning repetition. He told a story about a widow who kept coming back to a judge until he moved, and he praised her for it. Persistence is not the problem. The problem is repetition used as currency, saying it 200 times. Because you believe the number is what buys the answer. Praying the same thing every morning for 9 years because it still matters to you is not vain repetition. That's just love that hasn't given up. Number 5. And this one is uncomfortable, so I'll just read it. Whoever stops his ears at the cry of the poor, he will also cry out but shall not be heard. Read that again. The measure comes back. You close your ears, heaven closes its ears. Not as revenge, as a mirror. And Proverbs doesn't say the one who has nothing to give. It says the one who stops his ears, who hears the cry and decides not to hear it. Which means this isn't about how much money you have. It's about what you do in the 2 seconds after you notice somebody is drowning. And notice it doesn't say whoever refuses. It says stops his ears, which is a decision you make before you have to refuse anything. It's the crossing to the other side of the street. It's the scroll past. It's deciding not to ask your neighbor how he's actually doing because you suspect the answer is heavy. The cry was there. You just made sure it never fully arrived. Number 6. And I have never once heard this one preached, even though it is stated more directly than any other verse on this list. You husbands, giving honor to the woman, that your prayers may not be hindered. Peter is writing to husbands, and he says in plain words that how you treat your wife affects whether your prayers get through. Not God will be disappointed, hindered, blocked. There's a man somewhere praying hard for a breakthrough at work. And the thing standing in the way is the way he spoke to his wife this morning. God takes the person you dismiss more seriously than you do. And the principle is bigger than marriage. Peter is saying something that runs through the whole Bible. God will not be used as a shortcut around a person. You cannot be harsh with someone weaker than you all weak and then treat. Prayer is a separate department where none of that counts. If you are a husband, this verse is aimed at you by name. If you're not, ask the same question about whoever in your life has the least power to answer back. An employee, an aging parent, a kid. Heaven has a habit of standing next to them. Number 7. The one most of us are actually living in. Not sin you fell into. Sin you decided to keep. If I cherished sin in my heart, the Lord wouldn't have listened. Cherished. That's the word. Not committed, not struggled with. Cherished, protected, made room for, planned around. And Isaiah says the same thing from the other side. Your iniquities have separated you and your God, so that he will not hear. And then Proverbs closes the door completely on the one who won't listen to God but still expects God to listen to him. He who turns away his ear from hearing the law, even his prayer is an abomination. That's not unanswered, that's a much heavier word. Here's what makes this one different from all the others. It is fixed in about 4 seconds. Not by becoming a better person, by letting go of the thing you're holding. And I want to say the thing that keeps people stuck here, because it's the wrong lesson to take from this verse. This is not saying God only listens to people who have stopped sinning. If that were true, nobody would ever get through. And the Bible would not be full of failures who prayed and were heard. David wrote that psalm. The man who wrote, "If I cherished sin in my heart, the Lord wouldn't have listened," is the same man who took another man's wife and had him killed. And God heard him. The difference is what he did next. He didn't defend it. He didn't manage it. He put it down. Cherishing sin isn't falling. It's building a life with room for it, and then asking God to bless the rest of the house. So if that's 7 ways to not be heard, what does he actually listen to? If we ask anything according to his will, he listens to us. Every single prayer on this list fails for the same reason. Every one of them is a prayer that wants God's power without wanting God. The grudge, the shopping list, the audience, the word count, the closed ears, the dismissed wife, the sin in the fist. They all say the same thing: do what I want but stay out of the rest of my life. And notice what's not on this list. Not one of these prayers was rejected for being small, or clumsy, or repeated too often by someone desperate, or prayed by someone who had failed badly. God is not screening for eloquence. He's screening for honesty. The shortest honest prayer in the Bible is 3 words. Lord, save me. Peter prayed it while sinking, and he didn't even finish going under. He didn't get his theology right first. He didn't stop being the man who had just failed at the very thing he asked for. He just stopped performing and said the true thing. So read this list again and notice what it actually is. Not 7 ways God shuts you out. 7 doors, each one with a handle on your side. The grudge can be dropped today. The motive can be told the truth about. The audience can be sent away. The word count can be cut. The ears can be opened. The wife can be honored tonight. The fist can open. None of that requires you to be impressive. It requires you to be honest. So here's what I'd do with this. Pick the one that landed. Not all 7, the one you felt in your chest while I was reading it. And tell me the number in the comments. Just the number. You'd be surprised how many people are sitting on the same one. If this was useful, subscribe. We take the hard questions of faith and answer them straight, one at a time.